to anybody who has the ability to do it. Hire a damn plumber, man. Go get your oil changed, right? Like, I don't know how to change no damn oil.
Vagina. There, I've said it. Welcome to the Let Me Save You 25 Years podcast. Today's guest. You'll find out. But I've never had to use that word so much in my life, but it's amazing. She's amazing. The podcast is amazing. I am so blessed to do this, talk to the world's most capable and amazing people. Today is exceptional. Thank you for being a listener. Please give it a 5-star review. Please share it with a friend or something. Post it on social, because I don't take any money for this. Any advertisements you hear is just for the platform that I'm on. I'm just trying to bring you and me the best conversations with the world's most successful people. Our Shawnism for today: hire a plumber. Yeah, and I kicked it off with vagina. What? How do we square this up? You'll find out. I promise. It's awesome. It has nothing to do with plumbing. Importantly, look, my dad was a fixer. He was a builder. He built the home that I grew up in. I mean, he literally built it with his hands. Like he nailed in every truss and beam and stud and did the drywall, did the plumbing, and taught me how to do this stuff. As I grew up, by the time I was about 10, 11, 12 years old, I was working in our family-owned little apartment house toward downtown Salt Lake, lower income. And so I was exposed to ripping up pretty nasty carpet, painting walls, fixing swamp coolers, ripping out water heaters, dragging them downstairs on dollar. I mean, it's messy. And I know I learned how to do these things, and I became, I think, very self-sufficient and self-sufficient minded. It's just how I grew up. And so when I started getting super busy, having built this business as a side hustle in college, opened our first store, then people wanted to open more stores, and we were traveling all over the country already. It was tough to square up my self-sufficiency with the need to get stuff done faster and live on the go, so that I could build a business that was already doing millions of dollars. I needed to hire a plumber. I couldn't do the plumbing anymore. And almost to a fault, I would hang on to things because I know how to do them, not just plumbing. In business, right? You become good at a lot of things. And so you want to hang on and do them because you think you're uniquely good at it, when actually there are people who are even better than you. I hate to burst your bubble. You took an ego to get you to start the thing. And it took some talent and skills and abilities and a few things you might even be really good at. But even the stuff you're really good at, there's probably someone out there who's even better than you. And so you've got to let go. You've got to hire a plumber. You might even need to hire a personal chef. Not in my case, that one, but in all kinds of successful people's lives, there are ways that we can be more intentional with our time. And that's what today's podcast is about. I'm going to unpack it with the founder of the Honey Pot Co. She's only about saving vaginas, and I love her for it. She's so cool. She's so real. She's so raw. And we go deep on how hiring a plumber allows you to focus on your priorities. I had a podcast a few episodes ago with Sahil Bloom. His book has blown up since. And he said it well: time is the ultimate currency. So you've got to spend it where you get the most value. We'll unpack how to do that, how to overcome the guilt of delegating. What you perceive your work to be to someone else. You got to delegate that sometimes. And the value of determining your own self-worth before the world tries to do it for you. Because if we're not being intentional about shaping our lives and the way we're spending our time, it will be shaped for us by conspiring individuals, whether you know it or not. Finally, never forget, you're the CEO of your own life. And you're going to find out in today's podcast what this powerhouse, B. Dixon's #1 piece of advice for life and business is. but you've got to listen through to find out because it's so good. She's so brilliant. Not a joke, man. She's the real deal, purpose driven founder, entrepreneur. I feel honored to know her. I feel honored to introduce you to her. You're going to love this. Here we go. Today's guest is a founder who didn't just build a company, she changed the conversation. She's the founder and CEO of the Honey Pot Co., the plant-based feminine wellness brand that took something people, whispered about and turned it into a national movement. Her journey started with a dream, grew at a kitchen table, and exploded overnight after Oprah named the Honey Pot Co. one of her favorite things. But what makes her story powerful isn't just the growth, it's the conviction. She's built it with purpose, navigated viral controversy, and stayed rooted in values, all while scaling it to the highest levels. She's proved that doing it your way is harder, but always more impactful. Please welcome to the show the one and only Beatrice Dixon.
Thank you.
Great to hang out. And I didn't even realize you were a Lovesac user. So,
yeah, of course.
So cool. All right, B, without giving it too much thought, when you heard our Shawnism for today, hire a plumber. What's the first thing that came to mind?
Save your time, man. Like I think that when you're talking about success, when you're talking about striving, when you're thinking about all the things that we do and how busy we keep ourselves in our lives, especially if you're asking me, right?
Yeah.
And that was the question to me.
Yeah.
I I don't I don't have a lot of my own time, you know? And so any moment that I can get back that's mine, I need to just keep it. And so that means that I need to delegate, right? Yeah, I'm an excellent cook. I'm an excellent cook. But at the same time, like if I'm cooking, that means I got to clean up. That means I have to, you know what I'm saying? And so it's easier for me to have somebody that can come in and help me to prep my meals. Um, I also would have to go to the grocery store and I'd have to think about what I want to eat and all the things, right? As it relates to keeping my house clean. That's another example. I don't have the time, and because I have a bit of an OCD nature, I like things that have a lot of order. I like things to be really clean. Um, and if I'm doing it, I'm gonna obsess over it. And that just means that I'm not owning my own time. And so when I heard that, that's what I heard.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So many things we can dig in on there.
Yeah.
It's first of all for anyone listening, right? Building something from the ground up and scaling is hard. No matter what, no matter how much money you got, how many connections you have, how much resource you have behind you, it can eat your whole life and probably will and probably should.
Yeah. It should. It definitely should.
Yeah. So what you're experiencing, B, as you know, is normal, or as you've come to, I'm sure, uh, become accustomed to. But one of the things that fascinates me about what you just said is this idea that you're aware of your own OCD.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're going to do something, then you're going to do it really well, and then it's going to take more time. So it's
Yeah.
almost like I hear you letting go of things,
Yeah.
maybe even accepting, I'm not poor things, but accepting things
No.
the way they are so that you can focus on the things that actually matter. Is that fair?
That is fair, right? It would stress me out more to do those things, right? So I need to my nervous system already is dealing with so much as it relates to work, as it relates to like travel, as it relates to sleeping in these hotels, as it relates to. And so
Yeah.
it's like, why even do that to myself if I have the ability to be able to delegate, to have the help that I need. It may not be perfect, but I don't need perfection, right? I just need food. So I can think, right? I just need
Yeah.
I need some help with this laundry. Like I need,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like and
Yeah.
I guess I go to those when we're talking about that, my mind goes to those things because those things are so essential for me. I really don't have vices, you know? I don't really drink. I don't really, you know, do any extracurricular things. Like I obviously have hobbies. I have things that I love to do, right? But like the thing that's gonna make me excited is that my house smells good and like I just lit a beautiful incense and and I've got vacuum lines in my floor. Like that does it for me. I used to smoke weed and all the things. That's like smoking a joint for me at this point in my life.
That's
That
cool.
that relaxes me, And so what are the things that I need that are going to help me to be healthy, that are going to make sure that I'm not being frivolous because if I'm also in a situation where I don't have food prepped, right? Then that means I might be ordering from Uber Eats or you know what I'm saying? So then I'm not making a healthy decision. And so I just, when I heard hire a plumber, that's what came to mind, you know?
That's cool. I
Yeah.
mean, I have to ask. So I'm guessing I don't know a lot about your very personal background,
Mhm.
but I'm guessing you came up pretty regular and you did these things for yourself. Did you have to come around to sort of, this realization that your time is just better spent focusing on other things? And because it's hard for people that are very self starting, which you have to have done what you've done. It's hard for people who grew up down to earth to sort of embrace the bouge or, because there's
Yeah.
this aspect of that. You want to stay grounded. I mean, I came up very opposite. My dad to a fault did everything. And I was it was a really admirable trait. I'm not dissing it. I'm actually saying I had to come around to the realization that it was not just okay for me to pay to hire a
Yeah.
plumber, but in my case, within my situation, it would be foolish not to.
Exactly. Sames. The other thing, I used to do that. Like I used to clean people's houses. I used to cook for people. I
Yeah.
used to do their laundry. You understand what I'm saying? My mother
Yes.
did that when I was young. Like she used to clean hotels and I don't come from a background where there was anybody that could possibly ever even clean our house or do anything, right?
Yeah.
But like I think I'm a person who is very observant, and so and I've always dreamed to be successful. I've always been a hustler. I've always been willing to do the work. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so because I got the ability to be able because I got the ability to be able to do that for people, I saw what it did for them. It gave them the ability to focus on the things that they wanted to focus on, to play with their kids, to get a little rest, to go on that trip, to do whatever the thing was, because when you've been able to build something and grow something and have it hit scale and do all the things, right? Your time just becomes really valuable. And it's for me, yes, I understand that these things that I have access to are definitely like they're privileges, right? And
Yeah.
I am fully, 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 fully aware of that, right? And at the same time, for me, they are necessities. I don't
Yeah.
I know that they are luxuries. I'm aware of that. But even when I didn't have a lot of money, right? Even when I didn't have access, I still found a way for somebody to clean my house, right? I
Hmm.
still found a way for me to be able to take these clothes to the laundromat so somebody could wash them, right? That just meant that I wasn't able to do something else. You know what I'm saying? But it's just one of those things that are absolutely necessary for me.
So, well, it sounds like this concept occurred to you early enough, like fairly early in your journey. Um, was there any kind of light bulb moment where that became obvious to you? Was it driven a little bit by like, oh man, like I want to hire a house cleaner. I want to
Yeah,
be luxurious like that, or was it driven more pragmatically, like I need the time, I'm going to drown without it? Like how did you come around to that?
it was a little bit of both. It was a little bit of both. I learned through seeing and doing. And not only did I learn from that point in my life, but then I learned when I started to hang around individuals who were high net worth individuals, people that had been super super successful in their lives, and my eyes started to get conditioned with being able to see how they lived and how they lived well. And then that gave me the ability to dream, right?
Hmm.
I was already working for people when I cleaned people's houses and cooked and did all the things. I got a little bit of a taste of it then, and then when my surroundings started to change, and I just started to meet people, and and investors that I was working with, or whatever the situation was. I think Richelieu Dennis was probably the first person that I saw living that way. I had never even seen that. I had never been in
Hmm.
somebody's house where they had constant staff and constant cooks and constant. I had never had that. I haven't experienced that at this point in my life, right? Like, I'm not at that point. I don't know if I would need to be, but the fact that I was able to see that and envision that and be around that, it told me energetically that, like, okay, spirit, ancestors, guides are putting me in this situation so that I can see what this feels like, right? So that maybe I can create this for myself, right? And then
Or
that
even
helps
some version of it that's
some
right for
version
you,
of
it
it.
sounds like.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like a carrot.
Yeah, I really admire that, and I admire your transparency, and the reason I wanted to go here is because I think that a lot of people struggle with this idea, and it sounds pretty straightforward, and it sounds like you came around to it very instinctively, which is great.
Yeah.
But that's the reason it's a Shawnism. Like I believe in
Yeah.
this, and
Yeah.
it was hard for me because again, I grew up in a household where you did everything yourself, and if you do the math, of course, you can save money changing your oil or whatever. But is that really saving money? And when you start to put a time value, like if anyone listening that has something going, if what is your time worth? I'll ask you that. And I don't mean this in a snobby way. It's not to say that you're more valuable than the dude you're going to hire to change your oil. It's simply that person's on a path, you're on a path, and if you calculate what your hour is worth, I promise you, you are an overpaid
Yeah.
oil changer.
And not only that, I want to support that human that's changing that oil, right?
Yeah.
I want to support that human that has a laundry business. I want to support that human who wants to go into somebody's house and meal prep for them, right? Like that human needs work. That human is passionate about what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? Not
Yep.
and for some people that might just be what they need to do. And I have been that human. I needed those clients. You understand what I'm saying? And so, it's there is no um better than energy even in the stratosphere of the conversation of when I'm talking about all these things, right? I'm a person just like anybody else, right? I just truly 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 value my time. I value my time. I value my energy. I value my stress levels. I value my nervous system. I value those things. And if I'm going to do that, then the little tiny bit of time that I have left, I got to go see my acupuncturist, right? I got to get in this oxygen tank so I can like recover from all this air that I'm and radiation I'm breathing in when I'm living on these airplanes. You understand what I'm
Yeah,
saying? I
I
got
do.
to I gotta go get this lymphatic drainage. Like, that's what I gotta do. That's what I got. That's the time that I have, you know? And so I guess that's the way that I contextualize it, because we live our lives the way that we do, right? We also put ourselves under a lot of stress. We put our bodies through a lot, our lungs through a lot, like we put ourselves in these beautiful, hard, stressful business situations, which we because we need it. We got to be able to take care of ourselves. We got to be able to take care of our family. We have things that we need to do, and in order for all that to happen, then there's a lot of other things that have to happen. And so, I just would say, to anybody who has the ability to do it, hire a damn plumber, man. Go get your fucking oil changed, right? Like, I don't know how to change no damn oil. Like, I'm gonna sit down and learn how to change some oil. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like,
Yeah. But as you've said, you do know how to cook. You do know how to clean. You're
yeah.
not above doing it. We have
Mm-mm.
this core value at Lovesac. Um, we call be willing to sweep floors.
Mm-hmm.
But we're very prescriptive with the language because look, there are a lot of people within my company who, again, would be radically overpaid janitors. But that's not the point. And everyone knows that I or anyone else would be willing and is willing to, work in the showroom, make a sale, talk to a customer. I DM with customers on my Instagram
Yeah.
every day. And it's never above me. It's not a pain. I'm not, and thankfully I have teams of people who can also help do the dirty work of following up and getting them what they need. But I'm not above at least, getting them to the 50-yard line. And that's being willing to sweep floors. But it's not effective for me to then spend half my day chasing down their tracking. And
Right.
so, but because that's not my job, my job is something else. But by the way, to your point, I love the chance to also employ people to do
Mm-hmm.
that great work, and that's their job. And so hire the plumber,
Yeah.
and get over this guilt of, well, I was raised differently and I'm self-sufficient. Go be self-sufficient in other things. I'm plenty
Mm-hmm.
self-sufficient,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I'm
Mm-hmm.
generating income for myself, for lots of other people as well. But that doesn't mean that I have to, you know, uh, fix the pipes just because my father did and even
Right.
taught me how.
Right. Right. No, that's real.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And look, I think I also love the fact that you are self-aware about this idea that even though you've seen now a fully staffed life, that doesn't mean necessarily that you want that for yourself, or even
Mm-mm.
that. And so we're not advocating just chasing the booze, even though
Mm-mm.
there's some, like there's nothing necessarily wrong with being attracted to that. But
Yeah,
I've
there
also
isn't.
realized there are plenty of things that I don't simultaneously, even as I'm advocating hire the plumber, there are plenty of things that I don't want to hire out. There are plenty of things that I do want to keep myself grounded with, my kids especially, my kids
Absolutely. You have
especially,
to with them, you know?
and and keep myself and my family, grounded in certain ways as well, but not everything. And that's the beauty of this, right? I often say, like, you're the CEO of, besides being the CEO of, honeypot, you're the CEO
Of
of
my
your
life.
life. you
Yeah.
you get to make the decisions,
Yeah.
and it's
Exactly.
not just about duplicating what someone else has.
No, it's not. But it is interesting for us to pay attention to what's happening when you're in flow. When you're in flow with your life, it is interesting sometimes to look up and be like, who am I keeping company with? What am I learning from this? You know, um, what are my surroundings? Where am I at? What am I doing? Who's requesting my time?
Mm.
It's interesting to look at that, because and not just let it pass you by, because sometimes I've learned that I've needed to make shifts based on that, you know, based on just based on I don't want to say being in certain rooms and things of that nature, because I don't really get caught up in that, you know. I don't necessarily believe in the seat at the table or the blah 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 blah, right? Like, most of those things are just spat at us, to try to put us in a box and condition us. So I don't
Mm.
necessarily subscribe to that notion, but I do realize, you know, when I'm being pushed outside of my limits, or when I'm being pushed to think in a different way, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
you're conscious of
yeah.
the life you're shaping. And it's funny because here we are as leaders of any kind. You don't have to be a CEO, you don't have to
Mm-mm.
be an entrepreneur, but let's just say as a leader, as someone who crafts strategies
Yeah.
and plans to make things happen, we're often willing to do that and to go to great mental effort on behalf of Lovesac or on behalf of whatever it is we're responsible for. Yet, are we applying the same rigor to
Mm-hmm.
our life,
Mm-hmm.
to our own life? Are we thoughtful about the things that are shaping us? Because if we aren't, if we don't do it with intention, it will be done to us.
It's being done no matter what you do. Either you're paying attention to it or you're not. But even not is still a thing, right?
Yeah.
All you're doing is communicating to yourself that you're not necessarily putting in a lot of care. Like, whenever somebody asks me for like any kind of business advice or anything like that, my first thing that I tell them is to take care of yourself.
Hmm.
Go to bed, drink the water, right? Eat organic. You know what I mean? Like, don't drink during the week. You know what I'm saying? Like, keep
Yeah.
it to a minimum, because one, we're all aging all the time. We're every minute that goes by, we're growing older, right?
Yeah.
And two, we really need these bodies. We need these minds, right? We need our organs. We need to take care of ourselves because we're already putting ourselves under an amount of stress that is really hard, that's not normal, even just by nature of just being on these phones and scrolling and this blue light and none of this stuff. We weren't made for this stuff, you know and so I just believe that we need to be really conscious of what we do and how we treat our bodies. um I'm not trying to be preachy or anything, but I think that it's important and it's really essential when you are striving towards something. What's the point of striving towards it if you're not okay, if you're not well, if you're not happy? You know what I'm saying? If you can't enjoy it. That doesn't mean that illnesses and diseases don't happen, because they do. And when they do, right? Sometimes it just is what it is and it's terrible. But then there's other times
Mhm.
where maybe we can take care of ourselves so that maybe we don't run into that situation, you know?
Oh yeah. Well, and
Um,
if you've ever been knocked on your butt by a terrible flu, take your pick,
yeah.
and you can't work, you can't do anything. You can
Mm-mm.
barely, get out of bed or whatever. You then it's funny how like unwilling we are to sacrifice, an hour here or there for something that doesn't seem to have value for us, or it all seems so precious, it all seems so tight, your schedule seems so packed, everything's so critical, and then you get sick. And then you're out for like 4 days maybe. And then you realize, wow, somehow I made time for that.
Yep.
And if you're not intentional, to your point, about caring for yourself, I love that. You might put yourself more often and sometimes even chronically in a situation where you can't perform. And
Yeah.
then what? And then how
Yeah.
valuable was your packed schedule? How useful was your, cramming everything in?
And how powerful is your bank account? Because our bank accounts can't buy health. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? They just can't.
yeah,
You know. There's so many people who are ill. They can have all the money in the world, but if you have the ability to be well, we really need to relish that, because there's so many people who can't, right? You know, who would wish for that just for a second, So I think that that's something else that we as people that are just striving in the world. Like you said, doesn't mean you need to be a CEO, doesn't mean you need to be an executive, right? Like everybody's striving. Everybody wants to be healthy. Everybody wants to be able to enjoy their life. Everybody
Yeah.
wants to have a little more money than what they pay their bills with, right? Everybody, and it doesn't matter about your politics, it doesn't matter about anything, right? We all want that at the baseline, you know? And I think that that's actually one of the through lines that connects us all as human beings, but it is something to be conscientious about. Um, because I definitely believe in that some of us, some of our souls go on to live many, many times, but as it relates to living in this body, when this body is done, it's done, you know?
Yeah. And again, if you're not doing it, it's being done to you. There
Exactly.
are conspiring and more strategic people than you uh, that are absolutely interested in taking every penny they can, luring you into doing all kinds of things that are in their interest and not yours. Even if you don't think of the world that way, that is the case.
Yes, it's true.
So, look, I want to shift gears to business for a minute because on a personal level, you nailed it. I think it's so cool to hear someone else. We've just met, and your experience with the concept is in parallel to mine, and that's what's so cool about anything challenging in life. We will all learn the same things. I've had athletes, musicians, business people in completely different realms, and I find we all learn the same things if you allow yourself to be broken against the rocks of challenge. So, when it comes to your business and what you've built, and it's amazing what you've built. Can you think of a plumber moment? Can you think of a time
Mm,
when, you had to you had to hire something out,
yeah.
you had to yeah, tell me about it.
I think just when you think about, so in the beginning you do everything, right? Which is good for
Every
you. Which is good for you because then you understand the value of what it means to be the person that's doing the marketing, or what it means to be the person who's taking care of the operations or the logistics or getting things from point A to point B, right? Um, you know, but I think when it comes to the hire a plumber moment, it's really realizing that you're not going to grow, you're not going to reach the heights that you need to reach unless you have the right people sitting in the right seats, right?
Hmm.
You need to be surrounded by people who are much smarter than you,
Yeah,
who understand the task, who have been doing whatever said job is for a period of time with experience.
yeah,
Um, and so for me, I think that really came even from the time when we were just a tiny little business, and we had, and it was time for us to grow our team. you know um I remember when another time when my investors, we had brought in a CFO, and they said that they really thought that she should be president. And literally
hmm,
by the within a couple of hours of us having that conversation, we made that happen. You understand what I'm
hmm,
saying?
yeah,
Because she was the better person to be the president, right?
yeah,
Sure, I'm the CEO, and her and I report into each other. I don't even look at it like she reports into me at this point. We're actually co-CEOs at this point,
yeah,
but like, I just remember them telling me that. And I remember just locking into that, because by doing that, just the nature of doing that, that took us to a whole nother level, because she had done that before. You understand what I'm
yeah,
saying? She had
yes,
been the
I know it.
she had been the CFO of billion-dollar brands. She had, and so meanwhile, this is my first time, right? Sure, I've had other businesses. I've never been in the consumer packaged goods space outside of Honey Pot, you know? And so I know what I know, but I don't know what I don't know, right? I know what I'm really good at, right? But we're not going to get to where we need to go by just being what I'm good at, right? It's important for us to really relish in and lean into people's skill sets and what they're good at, and you
Yes.
know, because at the place we are, I mean, Honeypot's been around since 2012. My time shouldn't be focused in the weeds. My time needs to be focused on strategy and where we're going in the next 5 to 10 years, and and on innovation. And that's where my brain is best used. My brain isn't best used managing my leadership team.
Yes.
I'm, you know what I mean?
Yes. Look,
I'm not even a good manager, to be honest, like that.
yes.
Like, let's keep that, you know?
This may be the hardest thing
Yeah.
for founders to come to terms with, because for you to be successful at all, it required you to be good at a lot of things. It required you to be great at some of those things, even. And it required you to be wildly headstrong, confident,
Yeah.
blow through walls, blow people away, attract investment, all of these things. Meanwhile, there are people like your president who have, I don't know anything about her, but by the way, I'm in the same structure because it's the right structure.
Yeah.
It's the right structure because, by the way, these people have spent the decades of their life being trained.
Decades.
Forget school, being trained by the most capable organizations on planet Earth.
Yeah.
You only get to live one life. So you never got that kind of education,
Nope.
even if you did a few years here or there, because it's sucked you in since 2012. Mine sucked me in since 1998.
Yep.
So these people, and I have dozens of these people now involved
Yep.
at Lovesac. It's not me being humble when I say they're smarter than me. They are literally
Smarter than
smarter,
me.
more capable, more trained, more deft, all the things, even though I'm good a little bit at everything that they do. They are experts at it. And you got to get over your own ego, which is what got you here, to allow that to happen. And most people can't do what you've done. And it sounds like you, whether instinctively or just the way your soul is wired or other things that have shaped you, were amenable to that at the right times along the way, even early. And that's so rare because they fight against it.
Nah, it ain't nothing for me to fight against. I want Honeypot. I want Honeypot as a company. I want Honeypot as a vaginal wellness business that serves humans with vaginas. I want us to do that so well. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I want us to be so good
Yeah.
at what we do.
Yeah.
The way that we treat each other, the way that we create our products, the way that we formulate them, the way that we talk to our customer, the way, you know what I mean? Like, I want to
Yes.
do that so well. And in order to do that really well, like you said, you just, it's just not about me, man.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like it came out of my brain from my grandmother. Like, great, cool. But we're here now, you know? And so this shit isn't about me. I am so grateful that it came through me, right? I'm so grateful that my vagina was broken for almost a year. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm so grateful
Mm,
that that was as hard as it was, because if it wasn't that hard, maybe me and you wouldn't be having this conversation, you know?
for sure.
Like, and whatever has to be done in order for these things to happen and happen well and happen responsibly, and to be profitable and to be making money and to be connecting with our partners and all the things. I want this machine to just move like it's just floating on butter, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And in order for that to happen, like, I can't be in my own way. I gotta, like, I yeah, like, you have to have the right people, and you have to respect them for their intellect and appreciate what they bring to the table, you know? And I've just always been a proponent for that, you know? Um,
Yeah. Well, listen, that's why
yeah,
you're going to be rich. And I'm saying that on purpose for people listening. I know that's not what drives you. That's my point.
yeah,
That's why you'll be successful. And especially these two things. One, these people, back to the front of this conversation, are going to make you rich. They're so
yeah,
good at what they do. And you're
yeah,
lucky enough to have gotten it through your own grit, skills, abilities, uh, all of it, to the point where you could even afford one of them or two of them or an army of them.
right,
And I mean that with love, right? But two, you're driven by purpose is clear. And if you can not allow yourself to get sucked into the other side of that, the other side of it will happen for you. It just will. Because if you go and fix, you know, all the vaginas and people need that, they're going to gladly pay for that. And they are.
yeah,
And that, so you focus on the good thing. And, I was having this conversation with my own president,
yeah,
my business partner. That's how I think of her. She's my business partner. And she's definitely the better half,
yeah,
when it comes to all those same
same.
things, man, all the things. I get it. I
Yeah,
get it. And it's sad because I get all the credit. I'm the one on the magazines. I'm the one, out in front. But we were having a conversation the other day, making a decision about how to proceed. Even anyway,
yeah,
her comment was, "Look, I don't care about the money because the decisions we make affect that." And she's not being pious. She's just, I just want to do this because our purpose at Lovesac is to inspire humankind to buy better stuff. So they buy less stuff because we make some of the better stuff. We really do. This Sactional, you'll find out with time. Like those Sactionals you own, they'll literally outlive you if you want them to. You can, as you know, change the covers, do the thing. And that's what drives us. And it's like, we want to see if we can't do this. And by do this, I mean, take it to monster. We're trying to build a Nike around a brand that's not just trying to take your money every year by selling you the same thing and purposely making it
yeah,
obsolete. Okay.
yep,
But as long as we stay focused on that and not how much money we can extract from it,
yep.
because that's the game most business people are
Ashe.
playing in the
Yeah,
end. Investors, I mean, they've told me straight up, their purpose is to extract wealth.
yep.
That's not my purpose. And
Mhm.
but what's crazy is if you stay focused on vaginas and I stay focused on, planned obsolescence and fixing that, we're both going to be super rich.
Yeah,
And I put it on those terms for anyone listening because when you let it be an outcome, not a pursuit,
yep,
it's more fun. It's more, by the way, it's way more motivating to everyone else who's got to be dragged along with you to participate in this thing, that's got to do the grind.
yeah.
Cause it
And they
just is.
participate in it too, though.
Of course.
You know,
Of
like
course.
every human at Honeypot has equity, you know, in this
Yeah.
business, right? Um, and that's important to us because everybody here is building it, and we are a purpose-driven, human-first brand, right? Listen, when you make things that people need and you do it well, and you're not making it because you want to make them sick or you want to make it cheap or you want to just douse it with a bunch of chemicals and blah blah blah. When you do that well, you know, look, I love money. I've worked my ass off for it. I'm grateful for it, but and I'm not going to be working as hard as I do without there being a goal to, you know, to be a multi millionaire, right? Like
Mhm. Sure.
obviously that's what we get into this business to do. Not that that's the pursuit, right? Like not that I wasn't even thinking about any of this stuff when Honey Pot was started. Like I did first of all, I didn't even know about what wealth even meant, you know? Um, I understand it now. Um, but again, it's not the motivator, it's not the driver. The driver is wanting to do well, right? And when you do well, and the thing that you're doing well in, like, not doing well meaning like financially well, but when you want to put good into the world, when you want to
Yeah,
put good energy into the world, when you want to put products that actually benefit people's lives into the world, when it catches on with them and they appreciate it and they love it and they have a respect for it and it actually does benefit their life, the money just will come, you
that's
know?
right. Well, and by the way, I love your transparency because behind it is a truth. Human beings have desire. Human beings have are attracted, are drawn to lots of different, especially a few different things, right? Sex and money and all kinds of different things. And when you apply that desire correctly and allow your drive to be on a good thing, like the purpose of Honeypot, the purpose of
Hmm.
Lovesack, that desire will pull you. Your more coarse desires of even, let's say, just making money will pull you through that desired outcome of
Yeah.
fixing all the vaginas or ending
Yeah,
planned obsolescence
absolutely.
in my case.
Yeah.
And that's the application of human biology in the correct way, in my opinion, versus flipping it around and
Yep.
making that the end.
Yep.
And then the problem is the business becomes the means. And that's where business people make all the bad decisions, taking the cheap way because it's driven by profit only. And we basically have the rest of the world that we're subjected to, which is, the food pyramid was intentionally flipped upside down. We know this. Pharmaceuticals are intentionally, in many cases, built to uh, extract wealth from our lives.
Yep.
I mean, how gross is that?
Yeah, it
But it's
is.
the truth. This isn't a conspiracy theory. This is a conspiracy.
Yeah.
And so, when humans like you are able to prioritize these things the right way, and not even, it's not like, I love that you said it. I love money. Like, oh, I don't even want the money. It's not about that. It's
No.
okay.
Yeah, it
You
is
let your
okay.
desire pull you toward the real goal. And by the
Absolutely.
way, then both win. And that's one of our core values at Lovesack. We all win together. In your case, the women win. And by the way, you and your team and everybody else wins. And that's winning together. And it's amazing when you're able to align it like that. That's the real alchemy.
Yeah, it is. It is. Because in a lot of ways it's earned, you know. I listen, I like earning my money. I really do. I've never been shy of it. And I'll do what I have to do. You know, I've cleaned people's houses, I've danced on a
Mhm.
pole, I've done whatever I've needed to do in order to survive, right?
Mm.
And my mother taught me that, right? And guess what? If I ever had to go back to doing that shit, I would, right? Because what I'm not going to do is not have a roof over my head and not have food in my mouth. And you know what I'm saying? And so, I think that's the irony in it, is that, while I am working and manifesting, for me and my family to have generational wealth, right? I also know that in any moment that shit could go away. And then what? Right? So I'm not made by it. It doesn't make me happy. Like my happiness is just already in me, right? The fact that I have peace in my mind, and I have health in my body and I can use all my limbs, and that's really that's really the blessing. That's really the real wealth, right? But um But like you said, I mean, there's nothing wrong with us wanting to work towards the things that we're working towards, and do it in a really beautiful way. Um,
Yeah,
you know,
100%. I'm curious, have you ever hired the wrong plumber? Metaphorically
of
speaking.
course, of course,
Any
absolutely.
stories or learnings from something like that?
Mm, yes, I have. Let's see.
We all have.
I mean, I was doing some work renovating my place, and the people that I hired just, it's funny because I had to kind of I did a renovation, and then I lived in it, and then I was like, this doesn't work. So then I had to kind of do a little bit more after. And I used the same people. The second time around, it was like we didn't have a relationship. It was like they just were careless. They were
Hmm.
putting people, they were giving me foremen that didn't have experience, and that was rough, you
Hmm.
know. Um
So this was literally the wrong plumber in this
yeah.
case.
No,
Wow.
literally. And
Wow.
so,
So what do you take away from that? What do you learn from it? Because it's tricky because you you had a good experience and then they
and
went
then
they
a
went
bad
sideways
one.
on you. By the way, I've had people sometimes after a decade,
Yeah,
um, because their own life is happening to them and people
exactly.
can become distracted or who knows what, right?
Mhm.
So the right plumber isn't always
Yeah, it's relative.
it's
And
relative,
then
but yeah.
yeah, and then I mean, and then there's always been people, that when you bring new people into a business or into a company, there's always a chance that it's not going to work out. I think in those situations we try to fail fast. And sometimes, like you said, like everything is going really well at first, and then things shift and change. And that could be for any reason too, right? Like somebody could be going through something, it can be a multitude of things. Um, you know, so have I hired the wrong plumber? Like so many times, you know? Um, I just think that it's important that when you do, that you try to learn from it, especially like because you build relationships with people, you know. I mean, it doesn't mean that they're super close to you, and there's always love there and things like that, but like, I try to learn from the situations of when I haven't been thoughtful, whether it's personal or professional, about whoever said plumber is, and my uncle lawyer says this all the time: you get what you give, or sometimes you like, if you're not paying attention, like in this situation with my contractor, for example, right?
Yeah.
I was really busy in my life, so I didn't have time to be managing and managing and managing. So really, by the time I noticed, it was lots of money later, and then all the things that were done wrong, I had to go back and fix. And so what I noticed was, what my realization was, which was very expensive, by the way, right? Was that I wasn't giving them the attention that I should have been giving them,
Yeah.
and they were actually able to get over on me, you know? And so when it's no different than the conversation that we were having earlier about just taking care of yourself. I think that taking care of yourself is also paying attention to when you make those mistakes and when you fall on your face, to be like, okay, how did that even happen? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
I love your introspection and I love your willingness to take ownership.
Yeah.
I don't think you're denying that they got one over on you, but at the same time,
Some
I'm
of that
hearing
was
you
my
say like
fault.
it's your fault. And I love
Yeah.
that. I mean, it's one of my Shawnisms in the book. It's one of my
Yeah.
core 25. It's your fault, even
Yeah.
if it was done to you.
Yeah.
It's your fault in some way. And like, and look, this is why you're successful for anyone listening. Like, and that's what's so cool again about this podcast is we all learn the same lessons. Those of us willing to, break ourselves against the rocks to
Yeah.
learn these lessons.
It's true. It's hard sometimes, but it is what it is.
It's hard. And people that, don't learn these lessons and seem to have so much success, you're like, why is this guy rich? Or listen, it all comes due.
Yeah, I believe that we may not necessarily answer to it on this side of the fence. We're always, all of us are going to answer to everything, every decision we've ever made, you know, at some point. And that's just the spiritual part of me,
Yeah, me
which
too.
keeps me grounded and wanting to be a good person and wanting to treat people well and, just wanting to do right by myself and by humanity, by this earth that is our God, by the way, because where would we be without it, right? And so, you know, um, I try not to get too wrapped up in what you just said because it is a conundrum.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
of the I don't want to be judgmental towards anybody, but some of the people that have been able to be extremely successful and who have not had to go through some of the things that you and I have probably had to go through, living in really wild ways and treating people terribly, and it's interesting,
Yeah.
but I guess it just is what it is.
It's also its own form of hell.
Yeah, it
We just
is.
don't see it. We just don't see it. We see the Instagram, and the Instagram is the highlight reel for anybody,
Exactly.
including my own. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like anyone listening, like understand that you cannot, that old phrase, comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah. Yes, Lord.
And you don't know what's behind it all. So
You
anyway,
don't. You don't.
but
You don't.
but I love your spiritual side. We could go another day talking about this.
Exactly.
But look, in being useful to our awesome listeners and wrapping up on this topic or any topic, if you could save someone a chunk off their own 25-year learning experience,
Mm,
what's a piece of advice you might offer?
mm. Learn. Pay attention. Open up your eyes. Pay attention. You know, be good to yourself. Be good to people. You get a lot out of that when you do that. I'm not saying to put them before you.
Mm,
That's not what I'm saying. So, and
mm,
sometimes you will, right? Like, I'm a giver, so I put people before me all the time, and I can do that shit to a fault.
yeah.
But, you know, we shouldn't be walking around, and my mother taught me this. We shouldn't be walking around in our lives acting like we're not going to die, because we are, you know? And so really being conscientious with your time, with your mind, with your body, with your peace of mind, with the people you surround yourself with the way that you work, with the way that you know, um, just the way that we live our lives. I just think that we need to be good to ourselves, and by way of doing that, that means that you're good to humanity, and we just really need to care for ourselves, because if we can care for ourselves, then we're caring for everything. We're caring for the collective, and we're all here together. We share this planet together, and we just need to remember that. Like honestly, you know, um, and so I, I think living in a way that's easeful, that doesn't mean that things are easy all the time, but just trying to have ease in how we live our day to day. I think that it would ease out a lot of the things that we are looking at and facing, and so if we can just be kinder and more humble and
Yeah.
less worried about the things that don't matter, we just could be living such a different, beautiful experience. And so I just pray that for us, that we can connect and sync up and know that we're here together, because we need each other. We all need each other, you know?
And this is why she's successful and will continue to be. So look,
thank you, brother.
For more of Beatrice, you've got to follow her on Twitter and Instagram, as I do. I am B Dixon, Beadixon. She's a beautiful human doing important work. And what can we look forward to be from the Honey Pot Co. or anything else in 2026?
So I just, the Honey Pot is doing really beautiful things. We're going into menopause this year. We're coming out with some new functional washes come like April, May. We're you know, we're in it. We're in our bag, and we're focused and doing what we do really well, which is focusing on vaginal wellness. I also just launched my book, The Soul Instinct. And basically you can purchase that book wherever books are sold. You know, that's something that's really cool that I've been working through. You know, because it's new. It kind of feels like when Honey Pot was new, which was beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, those are the things that I'm working on that are new for 2026.
I am definitely excited to dig into your book.
It's just a memoir about my life, my stories. It's my self-help. It's my self-help book to me.
I love it. I mean, you've cited some great mentors, aunts, and uncles already on this pod. So I look forward to more. The Soul Instinct by Beatrice Dixon. Amazing. Well, thank you so much to the female founder focusing on feminine wellness, the originator of one of Oprah's favorite things and the beyond delightful, Ms. B. Dixon. Thank you.
Thank you.
And remember, for anyone listening, your job isn't just to do the work, it's to protect your time. Because time is all you've got. The only thing you can't scale.
All the other shit's made up.
That's it just might save you a chunk off your own 25-year journey. Thanks, B.
Once a year to take my friends away should not be the budget for your bike across America.
TikTok has become an aggregator for some of the dumbest human actions.
When I won that million, I was $2 million in debt, barely hanging on.